The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air. So you're telling me that he wants me, Naaman, army general, to go dip in the Jordan River? The Jordan River of all places, the Jordan River, that filthy river here in Israel? Come on, we have much better places that I could dip in Damascus. And not only that, I thought he would come out to me and stand and call the name of his God or whatever, wave his hand or whatever he does on spot and cure me of this leprosy. But no, he didn't even come out. He sent a lowly messenger to come out and tell me to go dip in the Jordan River. Abner, Parfa, these rivers in Damascus, are they not better than the rivers here in Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed? This is ridiculous. Why did I come all the way here for this?
But Master,
What do you want?
my father, if the prophet had told you to do something great, would you not have done it? How much more then when he says to you, wash and be clean?
It angers me even more that you make a point. But you're right. I did come here for cleaning, to be healed from this leprosy. No one in Syria could heal me, so I guess I have to do what this Israelite prophet says. I just thought there was going to be a different way to go about it. But what else do I have to lose at this point? Sure, let's go. Take me to this Jordan River. Let's see what happens. That's 7 times. Look, I'm cleaned, I'm healed. Now I know for certain that there is no other God in all the world except here in Israel. Prepare for a captivating journey into the world of 2 Kings chapter 5. In this chapter, we witness the remarkable story of Naaman and his unexpected path to healing. Join us as we explore the themes of faith, humility, and the miraculous work of God in this awe-inspiring tale. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right. Welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast, here with your hosts,
Nakhaz Gate.
and Earl Roberts. Definitely appreciate everyone for tuning in again in another week. Hopefully everyone had a great week. We are in person this week, naturally. I don't even know why I said that. But yeah, last week's episode, we went through Elijah and the oil, Elisha and the Shunammite son, Elisha feeding the 100 men, and Elisha also purifying the potter's stew. So it was like a slew of Elisha's miracles, which were very powerful, very impactful. Definitely check out last week's episode if you didn't. Also, hit the like and subscribe button if you definitely appreciate our podcast. Also, share with a friend. I would definitely appreciate you if you guys share with friends and family or strangers, just share it. Definitely appreciate that. How's your week been?
My week was pretty good, bro. Could you believe it, dog? I hurt my knee again. It's like, bro, all my lower body Honestly, I think I was telling my boy today, bro, like at 29, bro, like the warranty expired now. Oh man, I can't push myself the way I used to in my early 20s, you know what I mean, without consequence. And I feel so bad, bro. I feel so bad for every time I minimize when someone who older in age talk about their body. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh Lord, my boy body breaking down on him.
I telling you, so now I ramping up the exercise and stuff like that. But and you know, I a little competitive too. So like if I doing stuff like sports or whatever, you know, I want to go hard. I think I'm 22 still, you know what I mean? But yeah, I kind of hurt my knee, you know. It's the second lower body injury in like the span of 2 weeks.
I was gonna say a month, but 2 weeks, my word.
But thank God they ain't major injuries. Like the first injury, I thought that was major, but after a week, that it almost gone now. So my knee, bro. But other than that, bro, by the grace of God, I had a good week.
God is good. God is good.
I feel good, bro. I feel good, though. I feel healthy. I feel
Besides
happy.
your knee.
Beside my knee, bro. Beside my knee. You know, that's the only thing that don't feel good right now.
Oh my! But yeah, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. My week's been pretty good. Happiest the weekend. Thank God. I needed it. I need the rest.
Amen.
I need the rest. Weekly thought: keep God first. Keep it simple this week, as we have a very good podcast. I feel coming up. You know, Holy Spirit inspired. But this week we are in 2 Kings chapter 5. It's actually a well-known story in Kings. I'm sure we've all heard sermons potentially preached on this story before. We've had Bible studies, Sabbath school, stories about this, Sunday school stories for people who had to go to Sunday school. So it's a pretty well-known story. But it's a story of Naaman and his leprosy. And so, yeah, we're gonna get into this story. It's actually a pretty powerful story. It's actually like studying it this time for the podcast. There's so many multiple stories and like points you can pull out from this chapter. It's kind of like mind blowing. I don't know how many of them are actually gonna hit in this episode, but definitely as always, read the story for yourself. You know, the views of a breath of fresh air are ours alone. We encourage you to use it as a study tool to further personal studies of your own.
Bro, you remember we implemented that because it's like some people who have counter ideas or opinions on the text, they would really try to like say, yo, why you say that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I definitely remember.
But then it's like, you got to remember, I'm saying this because this is what I believe. I may have even misspoke. People don't understand how like, you always joke on me because I listen to my voice notes after I send them. I always listen to them because I want to know if I sound like I make sense when I say that, right? But if you're not in a podcast space, or if you don't listen to the stuff you say, or if it's not recorded, you don't realize how many mistakes people say every day. Like we would be talking, and we would be talking. I might be trying to say something about Elisha, but I might say, yeah, and Naaman did this, and you say Elisha. All right, yeah, thanks. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if you didn't say that, I would have went on, and I wouldn't even have known the mistake, but. We definitely have to make that disclaimer knowing that, you know, this is how we reflect. We don't represent any organization apart from a breath of fresh air.
Exactly. Which is interesting too, right? Because I guess random side note, other people like ask like, why don't we like reach out to like church or organizations for sponsorship? And I'm like, I don't really want anyone to control what we say.
Just need creative control, bro.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, here's the thing, like granted for everyone out there, like we still study. We still pray. We still do our own study. So it ain't like we trying to like wing it. But I don't want no one telling me, oh, is a topic we want to talk about, or angle we want to take on it. And you tell them, oh, we can't do that because of this. Why? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't. And so you remember earlier this week we were talking about what to do, Melchizedek.
Yeah, Melchizedek. Yeah.
Right. And I knew about him from the Genesis account of him, and I read Hebrews, but I didn't really internalize it as much. So somebody had a theory about Melchizedek that he was translated to heaven based on I think it's like Hebrews 11, like somewhere. Just type in Melchizedek.
I think it's Hebrews 7.
Hebrews, right? Let's keep
going though.
Yeah. So I read it.
Hebrews 7.
Okay, Hebrews 7, and so I was like, bro, this is not right. This is false. But then as I read the text, I understand how someone come up with that. You understand? And I also understand how enigmatic this guy Melchizedek is. You know what I'm saying? So like, if we were to take the stance of saying, let's say this person who took the stance of saying he went to heaven or whatever, let's say a church or somebody felt that way, right? And I am not convinced of that. I can't just go and say that because you tell me to say that. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're right, I just feel like I have to be convinced in my mind to say what I say. And at the end of the day, we humans and we are wrong. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you the percentage of time we are wrong, but I was just thinking this morning, I was thinking in the shower last night, if someone was to ask me a question on, it's an Adventist doctrine called the investigative judgment, I would have to tell them truthfully, I do not know, because I have not studied that. You understand? I am not versed in this. And then and then I felt like, bro, so how are you? I think it might have been the devil saying, like, how are you qualified to have a podcast?
Mercy.
And then I thought to myself, bro, anybody that tells you they are versed in everything in the Bible is a liar, bro. Anybody that tells you they know everything and every subject they talk about, they are right. I do not find that to be true. Now, you may believe that you are right, but there's a strong possibility that you are not right on every single thing in the Bible, and that's human nature.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact. Like, it's funny. You can have pride with the Bible in the wrong way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's crazy though. You could have pride with the Bible. You could idolize being a minister. You could idolize your ministry.
A lot of people do,
bro. And that was such a hard pill for me to swallow because it's like your reason behind doing this. You know what I'm saying? Because like, being a spoken artist and then also being a pastor, I think that's the same realm. Spoken word, spoken art. Even you look at some programs, instead of saying preaching, they'd say spoken word, and they'll be talking about a sermon, right? And you have the literary devices, you have the stuff that really emotionally connects with people, and people can celebrate you or appreciate your performance the same way they appreciate the performance of a poet. And so now you're saying about every time you go into a sermon, you might be thinking, I gotta go crazy. I gotta have the crowd eating out of the palm of my hands. And a lot of times that can come at the expense of the truth. You know what I'm saying? Or at the expense of the Holy Spirit or whatever. You're just putting things in your hands. So you definitely have to, you have to remember the 10 Commandments, bro. You have to keep that in your head, bro. Don't put no other gods before God, So whatever you do, even if it is in ministry, you got to know why you're doing this. It should be for the kingdom and not for self.
And that's an interesting point, too, because it's like the same talents God bless you with could become a snare to you.
For sure.
And it's even if you're using it for good, you start thinking like, I am the one who's doing this, not God. And that's where it becomes
for sure
a major snare to you. Because now in doing good, your pride kicks in, and isn't pride like idolatry? So,
yeah, bro, that's Solomon right then and there, bro. That's Solomon. That's Solomon, bro. You could be talented, you could be beautiful, you could have something that God gave you, and you use that, you manipulate that for your own benefit. You understand what I'm saying? And that's something everyone should be cautious and cognizant of. It could be your mind, it could be your talent in your field. And you could get to a point where you feel like, bro, this me, and I should stretch this out to the degree, but not considering how I can use this for God.
Agreed. So now in 2 Kings chapter 5, start reading from the New King James Version. Now Naaman, a commander of the army of the king of Syria, was great and honorable man in the eyes of his master, because by him the Lord had given victory to Syria.
Mercy. Bro, you see how this chapter start off, bro?
Exactly.
Bro, that's crazy. That's crazy.
And full circle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but not full circle to you guys. Anyway, it's interesting because how the Bible lay things out so plainly once you start understanding different... Anyway, we're going to get into it.
No, but hold on. I want to plant the seed now. This man, Naaman, he is a army general, right? And he's very victorious. But it was only by the grace of God he was victorious.
And it's the next thing to point out. God gave him victory for Syria.
For Syria, that's true.
This is literally Israelites' enemies right now.
Right, and bro, and when the Bible go on to talk about, when people the prophets in the Bible, they do not talk about Syria in a good way. We talk.
No.
They say some really bad things about Syria, and it's true, But there's another person who could have potentially, I'm not saying if he did or not, been proud in his own eyes because of all of the feats, his military accomplishments. He's a decorated soldier, and he could say, "That's me. That's my resume." Right?
Exactly.
So, but the Bible is saying this is true God. You understand? So I feel like that's a good seed to plant early on.
And they also say he was also a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper. And so I don't know much
how long was he a leper?
Well, but I don't know how long he was a leper, but I don't even know this have we talked about leprosy before so far?
I don't think we did, really.
So leprosy is a skin disease for those who don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know. It's kind of not as prevalent now in today's modern times because of, I guess, medicine. But leprosy is a skin disease. You actually could Google it if you want to look at these images. Your limbs can start rotting off, but Google it yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
And so in verse 2, and the Syrians had gone out on raids and brought back a captive of a young girl from the land of Israel. She waited on Naaman's wife. Then she said to her mistress, "If only my master were with the prophet who was in Samaria, for he would heal him of his leprosy." And Naaman went in and told his master, saying, "Thus and thus said the girl who is from the land of Israel." So before I even move on now, right? There's even more evidence. You see, the Syrians was attacking Israel. They brought back a captive from Israel.
Yep.
A little girl, like the Bible don't say her age, but they say, she was a young girl. And she said to Naaman's wife, "There's a prophet in Samaria who I know can heal him." Now, there's a couple of things right here, right? This girl was in a foreign land, but still served her God. Not with her parents anymore, right? And again, train up a child in the way they should go when they get old, they may not depart from it, right? But we see how important it is for this young girl to have enough faith. She didn't even say, "Oh, can possibly heal. There's a prophet there. He maybe could do something for you. Go talk to them." No, if you go back to my country, go to this prophet, you will be healed.
Yeah, that's the only thing stopping you from being healed right now.
You know what I'm saying? And she said that with the utmost confidence. And she might not even met Elijah. She just heard the stories of the things Elisha probably had done. Because I don't even think all of his accounts are even recorded in the Bible.
Yeah, I often think about that. Like with a lot of people in the Bible.
Exactly. So she said, "Yep, he can go over to Israel and get healed." And so we see the king of Syria said, then the king of Syria said in verse 5, "Go now and I will send a letter to the king of Israel." So the Syrian king saying, "This is one of my top generals. Essentially, leprosy is death." Essentially. So I want you to be healed because you're doing good things for me. So I, as the king, I am going to write a letter to the king of Israel saying he come under my watch, protection, whatever. Make sure he get healed.
No, I just find it interesting because we have a Israelite captive, right, which implies that one of the tribes of the northern kingdom had been defeated by Syria and they took captives, right? And now the Syrian king is writing the Israelite king. You know what I'm saying? They're being diplomatic or whatever, right? But I would assume that, no, we at odds. I can't ask you for a favor. I can't. No, I would assume we just mortal enemies, But it just reminds me of movies on these things. Even though we at war and we really taking things far and we doing war crimes and stuff, we can still sit down and negotiate something, So that's what he's trying to do. He get the money. You know what I'm saying? There's a transaction we about to make.
What's interesting too, but this point might be a point for later. But think about it, right? You essentially admitting that, bro, no one in our land can heal you from your leprosy.
Yeah, no, I think that's what it is, because if you are a decorated soldier, right, and you close to the king, I am sure that they probably exhausted all of the options already. Because it was just he's a good man. He's good at what he does, but he's leprous. Now, if you have an ailment and it's one like that where you could die, you know what I'm saying? You could your skin could turn white, you could lose limbs. You're gonna try to get a cure for that. But we all know, but think about it though, bro. leprosy all throughout the Bible, bro. It's nothing you could take to be cured. Like you have to separate yourself and hope that it go away. And even when it go away, you gotta go to someone so that like a priest or something that's in the Israelite culture, so they can verify that your leprosy has gone away. You know what I'm saying? Then, or maybe you have to cleanse and then go to them, whatever. So they already know it's akin to COVID. You know what I'm saying? Like just being real.
Highly contagious.
Highly contagious. It is lethal, and at the same time, you just at the mercy of God. You know what I'm saying? Or divine intervention for that. Yeah.
So now we see Naaman departed. He took with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 changes of raiment, clothing, depending on the version you're reading. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, which said, "Now be advised, when this letter comes to you, that I have sent Naaman my servant to you, that you may heal him of his leprosy." And it happened when the king of Israel read the letter that he tore his clothes and said, "Am I God to kill and make alive? That this man sends a man to me to heal him of his leprosy? Therefore, please consider and see how he seeks a quarrel with me."
And that's the kind of the point that I was mentioning, right? This man, he does not like the king of Syria, the king of Israel. He does not like the king of Syria. You know what I mean? Bro, I had a friend, I can't remember the exact scenario, but we were working and bro, it was my boy, man. He from Ghana. And tensions was so high at work. This is when we used to move furniture. Tensions was so high at work. And somebody said something to him. And I can't remember the term that they used, man. But he took that completely out of context. And like he took it like in an offensive way. But in America, it's like, no, you use that in a good way. You know what I'm saying? But because tensions were so high, it's like there was no way for him to consider the other possibilities of what could have been meant by this, right?
Exactly.
And so now the king of Israel, that's how I interpret it, is him saying, bro, these people, they already causing me a lot of money, they causing me a lot of pain, and my citizens, the safety of our country is at stake because of y'all. And now you coming to me saying you want to buy something off me, you want to come to my hospital, or what? You trying to joke it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? Like, think about that, bro. Think about.
I think because for me, I think the king is really clearly thinking it's a trap. Because now, as we were saying before, there's no cure for leprosy. So why are you sending them to me? You couldn't cure him. You sending them to me, saying that make sure he gets healed. What you mean? So now when he dies over here, now I kill your top general. Your top general died in Israel. Now that's grounds for war. Right? But what I do think is interesting is like he didn't think to consult Elijah.
No.
And it's interesting that the letter didn't even include, we heard that there was a prophet, sent us to the prophet.
Yeah, see, like, remember when Herod was the king and the wise men came to Herod saying, where's the king of the Jews that was born? They barked, the wise men, the Magi, however many of us, they barked up the wrong tree. They went to the most clueless man in Israel about the prophecy of the Messiah being born. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is the same thing here. Like throughout the Bible, you can see where, especially the northern kingdom, well, with Herod, that was the southern kingdom, that was Judah and stuff. But throughout the northern kingdom, you can see where there's a disconnect between the king and the man of God. It's a complete disconnect. Couple episodes we talked about how the king of Israel, he met with the king of Judah and the king of Moab, and when they went to Elisha was like, "What y'all want?" He was like, "Yeah, no, ain't nothing really. All the three of us just came together so we could die by the hands of the Moabites, right?" And you completely lost. You're talking to someone who actually can tell you the word of God, and Elisha responded by saying, "Yo, bro, you might as well just go back to your prophets because I ain't telling you nothing. But the only reason you could get a response is because of that man right there, Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah. That's the only person who I feel like I respect. That's kind of, I paraphrasing what Elisha was saying. And so now, there's probably the same king, right? And he is saying, he's so disconnected from what Elisha got going on. You can see they don't like each other and they don't care for each other at all. Like, I don't... You know, you could don't like someone, but you You keeping up with them like on some hating like type of situation? No, this man do not exist to him for real. So when you coming to me talking to me about the prophet and he like prophet, like what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like what are you talking about?
Oh my man just ripped his clothes and like, bro, this a trap. This is definitely a trap. So in verse 8, so it was when Elisha, the man of God, heard the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he went to the king saying, why have you torn your clothes? Please let him come to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman went with his horses and his chariot. So in this next thing, I think that's why the king of Syria sent him to the king, because I'm sending one of my top commanders into your country. I, at this moment, ain't really trying to wage war. But if one of my top commanders coming there with his chariots, with his men, what does it look like?
Right, it looked like it's problem.
So I just can't have him searching through your country like this and not expect any retaliation. I come into you, you know why we here. Now, if you could orchestrate this, make this easier, because diplomatically, this is what you should do. You're coming to my country, come to me, let's sort this out. But the king of Israel, which king this should have been?
It's one of them with the J, man.
Well,
Jehoram, the son of Ahab, it should be, because we don't know that he's died yet.
Okay, perfect. So we assume it's Jehoram. He like, bro, this is a trap. What else could this possibly be? You send this leprous man here.
Right.
And now we see Elisha saying, nope, send him to me. I don't know why you freaking out, tearing your clothes and making this whole big spectacle when you... Hey, I know.
Panicking.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Like, are you this far removed from God?
Yeah. Bro.
So then Naaman went with his horses and his chariot, and he stood at the door of Elisha's house. And Elisha sent a messenger to him saying, go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and all your flesh shall be restored to you, and you shall be clean. So you realize Elisha didn't even come to him. Elisha sent a messenger to go to him, right? But Naaman became furious and went away and said, indeed, I said to myself, he will surely come out to me and stand and call in the name of his God and wave his hand over the place and heal the leprosy. Are not Abner and Paphar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the rivers in Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean?
Mercy.
So he turned away in rage. And his servants came near and spoke to him and said, my father, if the prophet had told you to do something great, would you not have done it? How much more then when he says to you, wash and be clean? So he went down and dipped 7 times into Jordan according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean.
So, it's interesting what's going on because your boy is water shaming, basically. I guess
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, no.
Water shaming.
That's me trying to be funny, but
water shaming. Yeah, I get it.
But you know, like your first time going to a beach in another country. When you used to. Bahamian waters.
Atrocious.
Yeah, it's
sorry, Americans.
I ain't going no country. I said another country. I don't know if you
what country are we in? No,
it's you got. So
go to the lake, bro. I was in Walla Walla, bro. Right?
Oh yeah, no, that's crazy,
bro. I jumped.
That's cute. You got a fish. That's crazy, bro. But anyway, go on.
I jumped in this lake, right? Because me and my friend Leslie, we was doing some dumbness, cliff jumping. Why am I cliff jumping?
I do that too in Alabama too. So you know,
you really think how stupid that is?
No, it's very stupid. I can't believe I actually did that, but
bro, so we cliff jump, bro. I jump in this water, right? The lake done brown. The lake done brown, right?
Oh, so it's like a green. It didn't look good though.
For some reason, my mouth was open, right? So water get in my mouth. Oh, I was coughing for like 3 months, bro.
I would have had a heart attack in that water.
But I was coughing for like 3 months, bro.
I would have had a heart attack in that water, bro. Oh, that's sick.
Bro, I was like, never again. Bro, all the waters here just like brown or just ain't like mucky, and it ain't the same. Like when you come from the Bahamas, like, I agree with Naaman in this one sense.
I see what he's saying, bro.
Like, bro, you want me going that?
No, I can be real, bro. I went to a pretty prominent beach out here, bro. Like one of the top. We in Florida, bro. Like for context, so we got beaches. One of the top beaches, right? And I went there, and it really took me by surprise because I really was expecting Bahamian waters. And on the opposite side, when I was in the Bahamas a month ago, we went to Love Beach. Not even not the most popular beach.
No.
But it's a small, you know what I mean? Like if you miss the corner, you know what I mean? It's a niche beach, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, we really got some clear water, bro. Like this is crazy, you know? Like to compare, because we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know that we had like such a beautiful thing. You know, you just assume this is normal, right?
It's normal to us.
Anyway, Naaman was familiar with the types of the levels of water in the land.
Yeah.
So you telling me go to this water that I ain't used to, this not good looking river compared to our, like, come on, bro. If we talking water, I could go to this water to that water, right? You can tell Naaman as a Syrian is not familiar with the Most High God and the things that the Lord requires of you in situations like this. You know, I will step on your point.
I mean, okay, I could say it, right? So, when you look at it, right, like what I said pre-pod, Naaman was expecting the God of the Hebrews to be like the God of the Syrians. So we just take a step back. We see Naaman came there with enough money to pay for a miracle, which gonna come into effect later on in the story, right? But he came there with enough money saying, okay, I'm about to get something miraculous done because no one gets healed from leprosy. But I heard from my servant that the God of the Hebrews via their prophet can heal me guaranteed. So this must cost a lot because we probably spent a lot of money, to your point, in Syria, and nothing happened. So now this is a top military general who we already saw in the beginning got his victories from the Lord, but we're gonna see now as a pride issue because what was he expecting? We see Elisha didn't even come out to meet him, and you see the first thing he say, he didn't even come to see me.
The prophet who you hear so much about and give you such hope that you came to your enemy's country.
The prophet that I come here for, who sent message to the king to send me to you, but when I come here at your door, you don't even have the decency to come out and say hello. You send your messenger to come talk to me. So now pride, ego already hurt. Now to add insult to injury, you telling me that I must go in the Jordan River? Out of all the bodies of waters. Brody, if you had just told me this, I wouldn't leave Syria to stay in Damascus.
I wasn't coming for this.
And do what I do over there.
Yeah.
It was just dipping in the water.
And that was his stance, bro. He had already finished his point. Like, bro, I ain't doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he's saying, bro, if you're so powerful, why you just don't come out here like with what I expect the Syrian prophets to do? Come out here, wave your hand, talk to your God, and heal me of my leprosy. So what is two things. His expectations of how God should operate didn't line up with how God actually operated. And then two was an issue of pride. I come in here so prideful because he's a top military general who deserves the best treatment, but I ain't getting it. And then so now you have Elijah, who essentially flipping all of his expectations on his head and simultaneously checking his pride. So I don't know if you want.
So, okay, now, all pre-pod, I was telling you that, you know, I did not consider any of that, what you were saying. I didn't consider the money and what his expectations was. But I assumed he had other expectations. Because, and I was talking about how when it comes to engagements today, like, you know, engagements, baby showers, stuff like that, like, because of social media, they make such a spectacle of all of these things. Like some women want you to skydive out of a helicopter, you know, do some somersaults onto the red carpet, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? Like, they want a very extravagant proposal, right? But if you was to propose like just normal, some people wouldn't accept that.
Mercy.
I had an ex-girlfriend, this was years ago, I was a freshman at the College of the Bahamas. I said, if we were to get engaged, and I did not have a ring. This was before, this was during a time when I was really digging into how I feel about jewelry. You understand? I'm trying to understand why the Adventist doctrine is to avoid it, right? So I asked her, and she was Anglican. And I asked her, I said, if we which I didn't bring up any religion or nothing. I just say, if I were to propose to you without a ring, would you accept it?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, no, but the way she said it kind of hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? Because I was say at the time, I'm like, bro, this might be our reality, right?
Mm.
And so I was like, so, but why though? Don't you love me? She said, yeah. I said, don't you want to spend the rest of your life with me? She said, yeah. No, we talking about future tense because we wasn't at that stage of our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so why wouldn't you have done it? She said, bro, because you can't come to me half-stepping. You can't come to Naaman half-stepping, bro.
Mercy.
So Naaman, you mentioned, he's a general, bro.
Mm-hmm.
He has a resume.
Quite literally.
He is the man, right? And so it's a lot of times when you're an authoritative figure like that, bro, it's a certain level of respect that you just can't, like that you just demand.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of respect that you demand, bro. And it's like, even when you think about celebrities, certain times you can't treat celebrities like to feel like they special. Like you treat them too normal, they get offended by that, right? So you come into this foreign land that you probably feel like your land is superior in general, or else why we at odds, and why trying to conquer this land every chance we get. And him being the military general, he been doing this. You know what I'm saying? He was at the forefront of this. So I come to y'all as a general, and I'm saying, bro, if y'all answer me wrong, bro, this could be worse on y'all because, you know what I mean? Now I have an even crazier motive, right? And so y'all don't have a choice. I'm trying to I'm being nice. I'm making a transaction with you all. I will pay y'all for y'all services. If you tell me no, that only gonna add more fuel to our animosity.
For my final
for my final trip. So I come to y'all cordial. The king ain't making sense. Naaman might not have known that. But we get to this prophet. The prophet ain't talk to me, ain't none of that. First off, y'all telling me go to this body of water that I feel like is inferior to what I am used to. I am not doing that because you can't come to me half-stepping. A lot of people, and you mentioned how Naaman was a Syrian, but even Christians, bro. A lot of times, Christians, bro, born and raised Christians, they start to question their relationship with God or the realness of God when they compare it to Jesus, when they compare it to other religions, because they want Jesus to do some type of miracle. They want him to come up with a bang. Show me you real God. But I often reflect on when Jesus say, a wicked and an adulterous generation asks for a sign.
Mercy.
The Pharisees continue to ask Jesus for a sign. Show us a sign. Show us a sign. Mind you, Jesus would heal a paralytic man on the Sabbath and they'd say, oh, you break the law. That's a sign right there you just see. The crippled man come through the ceiling, through the roof. Now this wasn't a secret thing. Everybody see him come through the roof. Everybody see him get his ability to walk. But you ask for a sign. You trying to charge me for these things, but you asking for a sign, bro. It get to a point where God understands that we are insatiable creatures. And faith is the evidence of not having us. The faith is you have the evidence without having the sign. That's faith. The evidence of things unseen. The substance of things hoped for. You know what I'm saying? I say it backwards, but I like that last part. That really touched me. This might be 2 parts back to back.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And so that's the way I internalized Naaman character. Naaman wanted to experience God, but he wanted God to check every box of his imagination. You know, he wanted a grand experience. But think about it though. When Jesus could have come in. So if Jesus is, we know Jesus is God, and God does not exist in time. There's no beginning or end, right? He knows the future from the past, right? God knows what a Lamborghini look like, right? Even easier than that, electricity. God knows what electricity looks like. If Jesus had come through back in them times and invented electricity, he would have shaken you to turn the world upside down. Simple things, bro. A car. You could get from a plane. You could get from here to here in an hour. You know what I'm saying? It could have really it could have blown everyone's mind. He could have come he could have come in the best house, technology that we have not seen, that would not be created. He could have come in the most glamorous way, right? To capture all of your senses, to woo you, to sweep you off your feet. But that takes away the element of faith because you impress. My thing is, if I was playing basketball some years ago. It was this guy in goggles, bro, right? My friend say, bro, he's a high flyer, which means that he can dunk, he can jump very high, right? I look at him, I'm like, bro, this dude is not athletic, bro, right? So I'm on a fast break layup, and he let me walk past him, he let me run past him, he was just standing around. I lay it up, he pinned it off the backboard. The entire gym burst out laughing, but this is a private run, this is in Bahamas Academy old gym, right? And I was so embarrassed, bro. I was embarrassed that bothered me for the rest of the day. And I go on to my boy for sympathy. I was like, bro, I didn't know he was jumping like that. He said, bro, I told you he was jumping for that. But guess what? I didn't have faith in that. I didn't have faith in him. Yeah. I look at him, I like, that? You expect me to be scared of that? But no, he learned me that day. You understand what I said?
He sure taught you.
He sure taught me. So
he was feeling like, this is a disrespectful guy.
Disrespectful. He didn't even try to switch on. Oh!
You thought he let you off. I said, all right. That's what you want to do?
But I so dumb, bro. I should have known it was too easy, bro. Because, bro, I had to drive past him, but he ain't like run with me. He run behind me.
Say, all right, I got him today.
He run behind me. And so that's the thing about Jesus. Jesus came in an impoverished situation. He come with no status, bro. He ain't come rich. He might not have come handsome. He might not have come tall. You know what I'm saying? All of the things that when we envision our Savior, we envision our Savior to look like a, I don't know what. You know what I'm saying? But it's so,
Prince Charming.
Right, Prince Charming, essentially. But if Jesus came, and the way he was described, he's described as being from a low-income family.
Very.
You understand what I'm saying? To the point where they say, bro, what could even come out of Nazareth?
What good? Yep.
Bro, everything in Nazareth isn't up to par of what we think the Messiah would be, right? So now it took so much faith for people to see Jesus, not having the pump, but to believe in him because of the words he say and because of the things he's done. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the element of faith, bro. Like when we was talking about discernment, the pastor's preaching. A pastor can preach, he could have all the literary devices in the world, right? Someone can come. Bro, I've heard a poem about infidelity. This person was the narrator speaking, the person who was saying the poem was talking about his affair with a married person, right? And the poem is so beautiful. The poem is so, bro, like that's one of my favorite poems, but I know it wrong. And so the point I'm trying to make is, bro, your talent, bro, when someone captivates you, you can believe that what you're doing is right just off of the emotion that it make you feel. So Jesus couldn't have come wooing you and saying all of this and that. That's how the devil is operate. The devil come through with the fancy this and that. So you thinking, oh yeah, this is legit because it make me feel euphoric. You know what I'm saying? And so to the point I'm trying to make is, we have to be able to adopt and to connect with God without all of the jewelry, without all the fanciness. We need to be able to get to the raw Jesus. Like we need to be able to even hear sermons where the person talking monotone, but they talking the truth and that touch me because that's what I hear for. I hear for the truth. Naaman, he wasn't here for the end goal. Naaman, he thought he wanted the end goal, but truly he wanted his ego to be intact as well.
Exactly.
That was a package deal. And you could not give me one without the other. And so because he was in that scenario, he said, you know what? I'm not doing this. Y'all disrespecting me. I rather don't get healed. I rather don't even try this than to be disrespected.
And what's interesting too, because now you see one of the things you say before the part was like, can beggars be choosers? And we see his servants came back and like check him. It's like, hold on, Naaman. We didn't come all this way. This is me paraphrasing. We didn't come all this way, right? Let's just say the prophet had told you to do something great. Would you not have done it?
You would have do it.
Easy. You would have done it because why? That boosting your ego. I did this great thing. Or if the prophet that came on here and waved his magic hand or whatever to Naaman's mind, you would have been fine with that because that would have fit your expectations. To me, it's almost easier. He just telling you, bro, you don't have to do nothing. Just go dip in the river 7 times. You should almost be more humbled and appreciative that you don't have to do nothing great. But no, that's not what you expected. That's not what you expected. And then, so we see, it's interesting. He finally went down in verse 14. So he went down and dipped 7 times in the Jordan River, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. And it's interesting now, right? Because we see he dipped, right? But in dipping in the Jordan River, what did he have to do? He had to swallow his pride. He had to be humble. he had to accept the fact that the greatness that he was expecting wasn't going to come, wasn't going to be the way in which his miracle was going to be delivered.
Bro.
So he had to swallow his pride. Go for it.
He thought he was sick with leprosy, but pride was his sickness.
Mercy.
Pride was the thing that was gonna. So pride was the thing that was gonna cause him to die. Right. I've been watching this documentary from School for Prophets on like death and hell and stuff like that. Right. And he was pointing out a part of the documentary. He's pointing out when Jesus say Lazarus is sleeping, or when Jairus' daughter is asleep. Right. The dead in Christ are asleep. Because you know you're gonna live eternally for the rest of your life, right? But the dead who are outside of Christ, they really die.
They dead. Because
when they even during the second resurrection, their eternity is sealed. They will not live. They will not live eternally. So when Jesus look at earth, it's like this is a temporary thing. This is a test. It's a temporary thing. So when you pass away in Christ, that's when you're asleep. That's all you just have to think about it as a nap until I come back. Because when you arise again, you are alive for forever, right? And so when I say death in this situation, I mean eternal death, right? So pride was his sickness because pride was going to cause him to die. That leprosy, if he was a leper in Christ, he would die, but it would be asleep as defined by Jesus. Because when Jesus returned, you're going to live forever. You understand? But pride was the thing that was separating him from actually having an experience with God. And that's an even deeper sickness, bro. But that's the type of sickness you can't see.
That's really the true one. I mean, because man, like people look at the Ten Commandments, right? And it's easy to say, oh, you breaking this one, you ain't breaking this one. You breaking this one, you ain't breaking this one, right? But in the Ten Commandments, if you really understand them and internalize them, you realize you can't have pride. But it's not something you think about because it ain't saying thou shalt not have pride. But it telling you you should be honor your father and your mother. You should have no other gods before God. You should only have me. You shouldn't be killing, stealing, coveting. You shouldn't be doing all these things. But you have to have some level of pride to want to take a next man's wife.
That's true.
You have to have some level of pride to want to kill a next man.
Very
so
true.
I'm like, it's interwoven in them, but it just because people like to try to say, oh, the Bible is saying you can't, or you see when the Ten Commandments, like, what are we really talking about here?
Right, because it's interwoven.
Exactly. Yeah. But man, it's several things here, right? So now we almost have like, well, I can wait. I can hold on to this point. Let's keep on going, right? So in verse 15, and he returned to the man of God, he and all his aides, and he came and stood before him and said, indeed, now I know that there is no God in all the earth except in Israel. Now, therefore, please take a gift from your servant. But he said, as the Lord lives, before whom I stand, I will receive nothing. This is Elisha talking back to Naaman. And he urged him to take it, and he refused. So Naaman said, then, if not, please let your servant be given 2 mule loads of earth. For your servant will no longer offer burnt offering and sacrifice to other gods, but to the Lord. Yet in this thing may the Lord pardon your servant when my master goes to the temple of Rimnon and worship there. And he leans on my hand, so I bow in the temple of Rimnon. When I bow to the temple at Rimnon, may the Lord please pardon your servant in this thing. Then Elisha said to him, go in peace. So he departed from him a short distance. So again, we see now, Naaman is a new convert. I had my experience. Now we see the pride was his real thing. He humbled up his pride now. He know that now there is a God. There's no other God in all the earth except the God in Israel. What he thought he wanted, he didn't get, but what he got was so much more powerful and impactful that it was better than what he thought he wanted. Because now he ain't prideful no more. He got salvation in a weird about because he ain't come there to be saved.
No.
He didn't. He just come there to be healed. But God said, bro, it's so much I done do through you. All your victories were because of me, but you don't even know who I am. Which is funny how God works. You know what I'm saying? All your victories, everything you have and you are bestowed with is through me. And just taking like one of the other points I was going to say earlier was like, you look at this story and directly conjoined with last chapter, right? last chapter, we had a Shunammite woman whose son was raised from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at last chapter, we went through the podcast, and we figured out that Shunem was actually a tribe of Issachar.
Yeah.
Right? So last chapter, we see that God saves Israel, which is great. We knew that, right? And in this chapter, we see God is not only just the God of the Israelites, but is still the God of the whole world. Because now we see a Syrian general was conquering, being victorious in all his raids through the Lord, even when he didn't know God, and God still healed him from his leprosy, also while humbling him. And now we see Naaman is so converted, but he's still so torn. He's saying, he tell Elijah, Elijah, bro, I ain't offering sacrifices to these gods, but because of my role, I will have to be with the king when the king go in the temple, and I will be forced to bow. Can the Lord please pardon me because I am doing what I know is wrong, but I have to do it because I have to go back to Syria? And Elijah say, I be understand.
Got you, bro.
But it's so, you know what powerful is? This guy say, bro, I taken two mule loads of dirt from Israel to take back to Syria for no other purpose other than to be a reminder that the true God is in Israel.
Yeah.
But you know how changed you have to be for that, bro?
That is crazy, bro.
And it showed like, bro, God was working more than just leprosy. Because to your point, bro, God could have told him go back to Damascus or whatever. But no, it's like, you had a condition of the heart that needed to be addressed when you came here. It wasn't about your leprosy. Your true sickness was your pride and your ego.
But think about how, bro, this how you know God in his infinite wisdom knows exactly what we need. Imagine if God did tell him, you gotta fast for 10 days, then you gotta do some type of crazy type of thing that met his expectation, and it was healed. He would have tried to pay, and he would have been like, yeah, that's kind of how I expected it to go. But in being healed in the River Jordan, the least likely place to be healed, he realized, oh no, this one from the hand of God.
And then look at it too, bro. You came up clean in the dirtiest river in the whole region. So what you thought was going to be filthy and dirty, God used to be your cleaning device. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was looking for like a spell, but he got a miracle. And so, but I know that freak him out because he like, bro, no. I converted to the religion of the Most High God instantly. Bro. That's an instant thing, bro.
And again, in direct comparison to last chapter, he had to dip 7 times. And when the Shunammite's son, I really wish he had a name. I should just give him a name, but that wouldn't be biblical. he sneezed 7 times when he was brought back to consciousness. And, people say 7 is God's favorite number, but it's just interesting, like the 7. And think about it too. To your point, the faith, because Naaman didn't dip once. He didn't only dip once. He didn't only dip 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. He wasn't healed until he dipped all 7 times. Because think about it, bro. Even in your mind too, you like, bro, I should have. If you dip once and you start to see a spot or something disappear, you'd be more eager to dip again. It wasn't until in my mind, I think, bro, nothing was changing. So now each time you dip in, you essentially having to get more humble and having to trust and have faith in the Israelite God even more. Because think about you on dip number 6, bro, and still nothing happening. Bro, you know what people would have just say, bro, this ridiculous.
This ain't making no sense, man.
This ridiculous. Let me just go off. Because I ain't feeling no change. Shoot, your leprosy might be hurting you even more now. Like, bro, like I in this dirty river in this foreign land. This boy ain't even come out to see me, bro, and still nothing happened. But on the 7th dip, bro, you get more healed than a normal person, but your skin like a child, your skin like the flesh of a child, bro.
Dog ain't even had no acne on his face, bro.
Nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Clean, bro.
He probably better than before he had the leprosy.
I'm telling you, bro.
Man. And then, what I think blow his mind even more, this was free of charge.
Oh yeah, for free.
Bro, by your faith, you are healed. You know what I'm saying? God ain't charging him nothing. So again, his expectations are flipped on their head. Because I was expecting to come here and pay for this miracle. God's saying, bro, you can't pay me to do anything for you.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? So again, it's flipping his whole expectations on his head as God is so willing to do.
Yeah, sometimes it does take away from the favor you receive, putting a price on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it only should have cost him his pride. It only should have cost him his faith. You understand what I'm saying? Like you give God your pride, and now you get this miracle. You know what I'm saying? But now if you put a price on it, you feel like you make it seem like you can buy God.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly. But now, our good friend,
Gahazi,
but Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, look, my master has spared Naaman the Syrian while not receiving his hands that what he brought. But as the Lord lives, I will run after him and take something from him. So Gehazi pursued Naaman. And when Naaman saw him running after him, he got down from his chariot to meet him and said, is all well? Again, let's just going back to last chapter. Is all well? And he said, all is well. My master has sent me saying, indeed, just now 2 young men of the sons of the prophets have come to me from the mountains of Ephraim. Please give them a talent of silver and 2 change of garments. So Naaman said, please take these 2 talents. And he urged him to bound. He urged him and bound the 2 talents of silver in 2 bags and 2 changes of raiments and handed them to 2 of his servants. And they carried them on ahead of him. So when he came to the citadel, he took them from their hand and stored them away in the house. And he let the men go, and they departed. Now he went and stood before his master Elisha and Elisha said to him, Gehazi, where did you go? So even before that, right? I mean, going back and just recapping, we seen it. Think about it, bro. We go back. Naaman brought 10 talents of silver, 10 change of clothes, and what?
10,000 shekels of gold.
Exactly. So he was more than willing to pay. You know what I'm saying? So now Elijah tell him, you don't got to pay.
Yeah.
You don't got to pay. Naaman said, this all y'all want? Granted, I was ready to give y'all the world. This all I want. This y'all still breaking me off late.
6,000 shekels of gold.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all, first of all, y'all don't even want none of the gold. Y'all just want 2 talents and 2 change of clothes.
See, Gehazi, he poor negotiator, right? He don't know what your boy got. So he going low. He undersell himself.
But then he lied.
He lied for sure.
He lied.
He lied for sure.
He lied.
Ain't nobody come from Ephraim. Ain't nobody just come here, bro. And you know what I was thinking about, right? How far could Naaman have gone, right?
But we see, because even in verse 19, they say, then Elisha told him, go in peace. And then they say, so he departed short. So we know Naaman wasn't even that far.
Right. So now watch this. That means you have to quickly come from around Elisha to do that.
Exactly.
You have to say, oh, I got to do something. You know what I mean? I got
to go get a cow or something from over there.
I got to go deal with something and come back. I know you have to run by him. So he had to sneak off, bro.
With two other servants.
With 2 other servants.
Because we see, tell the servants, hey, y'all take this, y'all go ahead of me. Because when I go back, I still got to go address Elisha. Elisha, yeah. So Elisha saying, Gehazi, where did you go? And he said, your servant did not go anywhere. Lying again. Lying again. And then in verse 26, so he said to them, did not my heart go with you when the man turned back from his chariot to meet you? Is it time to receive money? Is it time to receive money and to receive clothing, olive groves, vineyards, sheep, oxen, and male and female servants? Therefore, the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and your descendants forever. And he went out from this presence a leprous, white as snow.
Mercy.
Because essentially, and people are like, okay, this might be a extreme sentence, right? But think about it, bro. You just diminished the miracle what God did for free. You just tried to put a price on God's freely given blessings.
Just step all over that miracle just now, bro.
And especially to a new convert. Because now, again, what you still saying? Like, oh, yeah, we could go here. They might need something. Maybe, the church might need a donation when we go. Let's just do this off and we feel better.
But think about it, bro. What type of God needs money? Because our God says the cattle on 1,000 hills belong to him. When Jesus was in a situation where, because of Peter Big Mouth, he had to pay taxes, Jesus was like, go in the water, get a fish, and open the fish mouth, and the tax could be in the mouth. You understand what I'm saying? Like, make a way out of no way. I don't need your money, right? But now, you Naaman, when Jesus healed the Samaritan woman, right? She went back to Samaria, and that spread like fire. She preached to everybody. Oh, come here, man, who tell me everything about me, right? That's what has happened when people have an experience with God, especially when they didn't know God before. Naaman, a man of influence, about to go back and talk about this selfless God, who understand, who exceeds your expectations even when he does things that you don't expect.
Bro, and think about it too. This is to our earlier point. This is a high-ranking military official.
Yeah.
People gonna listen. Plus, he went there with leprosy and he's coming back without it.
It is, bro, you the most famous military man probably, right? Everybody know the general, bro. Like even in college basketball, everybody know the coach. Like even in football, bro, you know the coach, bro. Like you know, so many people we know the coach, bro. Like that's the guy because he calling the shots, he making the plays, he doing all of this stuff, right? He's smart man. We all know you had a disease, bro. First of all, everybody know who the lepers are because you don't want to be around them because it's contagious. Yeah, because you don't want to catch it. Secondly, you a famous person that have leprosy. Everybody know that, and now. Bro, we had a teacher in high school. He had a very raspy voice. Like you could barely hear how raspy his voice is. And when I graduated the next year, his voice was normal. His voice was he had a regular voice and it wasn't deep. And I hear people saying, people told me about it. I wasn't in school no more. I was like, but you lied. So I gone to school to see it, bro. I gone to hear this man's voice for myself. He had a normal voice, bro. His voice was raspy for the 2 years I was there, like very raspy. It was normal then. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like when a drastic change, bro, that's going to garner conversation. But now Naaman is going to say, he healed me, he do all of these things. Bro, man, what an experience. And yeah, I end up paying whatever. So now he going to spread false information about God, but it was the true part of his story. So, and Gehazi don't even realize the implications of his actions.
No, and it's all for greed.
Very good.
It's all for greed. And what's interesting about Gehazi, right? We see like now the very curse that Naaman got healed from, it got pronounced on Gehazi, right? And then it was greedy. But I guess my point is like how close we can be to God and like the men of God, but not have the same understanding. You know what I'm saying? Like Gehazi reminds me of some of the disciples, like granted they didn't get leprosy, but it's like being that close to Jesus, but not fully grasping who he is and miraculous wonders of what he's doing. Because, man, when we get to the end of Elijah's story, I'm going to point out like so many comparisons between Elisha and Jesus. It's even like Elisha, I feel like in his stories and his miracles, it almost have more comparisons to Jesus than Elijah did.
Yeah, I while going through this, I really was wondering, okay, the chariot of fire, that's a big part of Elisha's story.
Yeah.
Elijah's story, thank you. See, like what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
But I really wonder why he had such fame. Like even in Judaism, right? When what's your boy name? John the Baptist come around, they asked him if he was Elijah. Because they probably think, oh, Elijah come back. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, bro, because when me and die, so it's like if you go, you can come back. Like if God send you back for another mission.
They find him in the mountains.
Yeah, they find right. That's where you was this whole time. Why we didn't check there?
Oh, my.
But they thought he was Elijah, but they didn't say, are you Elisha? You feel me? I mean, I guess it's probably because the one didn't die, so it's possible that it could still be him. But it's like, you hear people reference Elijah A lot. You know what I'm saying?
People's name,
Like,
they child, Elijah.
I do not know one Elisha.
Yeah, or Elisha.
Elisha, however people want to pronounce it.
But yeah, man, so like, you being so close to the source, but you don't even understand and grasp, because now, bro, Gehazi was supposed to be to Elisha what Elisha was to Elijah.
Yes.
But Gehazi clearly fumbled the bag because, again, his own pride and greed got in the way of him seeing God. Just like how Naaman's pride and greed was the only thing, well, just pride was between him and God and his healing. Gehazi's pride and greed was right in between him understanding God, even when he was right connected to God. And it just blows my mind how you could be so close but not get it.
Yeah. But it just go to show how powerful imperfections are. And I don't want to say imperfections. I want to say iniquities are, for lack of a better word. Because remember I used to say, everybody have a thing that separates you from God, right? And when you experience Jesus, you have to be prepared for Jesus to poke at that thing. The woman, the Canaanite woman who said, yo, I need healing for I think it was a child or something. And he was like, yo, so you know, the dogs has come to the table. Or so he say something to say, like, to liken that to be a dog, right? And she's like, no, but even the dogs can eat the crumbs that drop off the table, right? Jesus was challenging her religion and the way the animosity between the Canaanites and the Israelites. Because now Israel, they had such pride in their God that they became uppity even to other Israelites, like the Jews. They became uppity to the northern kingdom, like the Samaritans, stuff like that. Like the majority of the Israelites were in the northern kingdom. I mean, theoretically, that's what it was, because like tribe-wise, I don't know population-wise if it was like that, but the Jews looked at the other 10 tribes as like, we can't even touch y'all, we can't even eat with y'all, and they were at odds. And that's the way they looked at all of the other Canaanite nations while they were in Jesus' time. That's how it got. So now the Canaanites know that y'all like the Caribbean say, y'all stush towards people, or y'all too good. You know what I mean? Or y'all arrogant towards us. Y'all feel like y'all better than us, right? She know that, and she's still asking for a favor, right? And Jesus make it seem like, bro, I know I'm better than you, and you still got ask for this favor. And the way she responded was to essentially say through her actions, bro, I don't care if you think you're better than me. I need this so much, I'm willing to endure whatever just to get to you. And when she responded with that, Jesus said, bro, what faith? That impressed Jesus. He was like, bro, look at the faith. And even Jesus' disciples was like, go, Jesus, you want me to tell this girl to leave? You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like Gehazi last episode. Like, no, get off him. You know, that's another parallel to Jesus, you know? And so you can see where, like, we have things that separate us from God. And I want everybody to remember this, bro. Like, because it can poke itself out to you. It could jump out, you know, and it's important not to ignore it. Right. Like certain things, it just really bother you. Like it might be covetousness. True. Being candid. It might be your sexuality, right? Whether homosexual or heterosexual, right? The homosexuality, that might be something that just separates you from God. But even being a heterosexual, your promiscuity or your urges or your thoughts could be something that separates you from God. You understand? Like, I'll be honest with you, bro. And I don't know how we get on this conversation, but I thought I never would have given up on pornography, bro. I thought I never would have. Like, the people I around and the things I watch and listen to, they always market it as, bro, this is a normal thing that every man does, but no one talks about, right?
Mercy.
But I never accept it, bro. I always like, well, this is kind of wrong, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like, it's something that like you have a desire to do, bro. I push myself, bro. I had faith in God, bro. Yeah, since I do that, bro. And now I I don't even like, you know, like how some people just relapse or like you won't do something so long, so like you have an urge, like, but I don't even cross your mind. I don't even cross my mind, but like I might see something, but I can't pollute my mind with this, bro, because this only can remind me what I was like when I was sick. I don't want this sickness no more, bro. You see what I'm saying? So now, Naaman, just get rid of his sickness. Double entendre, because that pride, That was a deadly sickness, right? The leprosy, they had the potential, you could have died from that, but at the end of the day, it wasn't a spiritual sickness, right? He just get healed, both of them. Gehazi experienced that. But only thing Gehazi could have see was a check, bro. Gehazi said, you let this Syrian. He said, this Syrian. Imagine if someone say, you let this Bahamian. You know what I mean? Bro, hold on, no. These people, they are enemies, bro. And you ain't attacks him, you gotta be crazy. I leave in here with something. It's a popular meme where Denzel Washington said, I from around the way. I leave in here with something. That's what Gehazi say, bro. I leave in here with something, bro. I don't care what you and God got going on, bro. But I can get mine, bro.
With me. Exactly.
I ain't got nothing to do with me, bro.
Exactly.
And so Gehazi had a sickness that he allowed to fester, and it get to the point where he couldn't even read the room no more.
Unfortunately,
He couldn't even say, but not right now. But me and you was just together for probably an hour. I can't find you. I might have been looking for you, right? When I see you again, I say, where you going? Nowhere. What you mean nowhere? I was in your house this whole time. What you mean nowhere, bro? I knock on the door in your room. I crack the door. You weren't there. You weren't outside. The car going. What you mean nowhere?
I also think it would have been better for Gehazi to tell the truth in that instance. You might have not get leprosy at least. But to me, it's like to do what you did, double down on it, and then to try hide it. When again, not reading the room, you forget who your master is. Like you forget who Elisha is. Like again, you was there for all these miracles, feeding the 100, boy raising from the dead, all this different stuff. So again, it is interesting too, because like in the same story, we seen where Israelite is lacking faith, but a foreigner has more faith and more belief in the true God than someone who actually should. And again, it comes back to the story, like to one of the previous points, like this story really showing like, God is just not a God for the Israelites. God is a God for all races and all mankind.
Right there.
And they show like how some people who should have the message, it disregarded.
And so it go back to when I didn't realize that Jesus referenced Elijah and Elisha. In verse 26, I mean, it's right there though. Like it literally says Elijah, then it says Elisha. That's funny. Luke 4 verse 26. He was talking about when anyway, I can just read it. Verse 24. Assuredly, I say to you, no prophet is accepted in his own country. This when Jesus went back to his hometown, and they was like, bro, they about to push you off this cliff, bro. You preaching these things that, no, we ain't into that. We don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? And then, to insult to injury, Jesus say, but truly I tell you, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elijah. But it's like Jesus, he knew this. I could have mentioned this, but it wouldn't have been relevant. It would have just been hurtful to hear. But now y'all actually proven this, and now I have to remind y'all, many widows was there during that time, when the heavens were shut up 3 years and 6 months, and there was a great famine throughout all the land. But to none of them was Elijah sent except to Zarephath in the region of Sidon, to a woman who was a widow. Verse 27, many lepers were in the land of Israel in the time of Elisha, the prophet, and none of them was cleansed except Naaman the Syrian. And so to your point, Jesus, God, the Most High God, the Godhead, they wasn't only for the Israelites. And to make matters even worse, let's say they were only to the Israelites. The northern kingdom wasn't for him. It wasn't for him. The king didn't respect Jesus, don't disrespect the Most High God. They didn't care for the prophet. We have a prophet who bringing people back from the dead, bro. And you at odds with him? Y'all ain't cool? We can see throughout the Old Testament, God has always cared for his people. You understand? Regardless of the nation that you're from. And so when we consider all of these things, and it's good that Jesus said this, because when Jesus came around, Jesus was treating Jews and Gentiles alike, and that just added even more animosity, and that might have added more doubt for the Pharisees and other people who did not like Jesus. Like, bro, what you mean, bro? You eating with these people? You eating with tax collectors? You going to Samaritans and stuff like that? you offering healing for the Canaanite woman, like you doing miracles for people who are Gentiles, bro. Like you ain't making sense. But then you would see a rare occasion when Jesus referenced. I ain't gonna say rare occasion, but you can see one of the because it's not rare. You would see one of the occasions when Jesus referenced the Old Testament, and he's saying, "Bro, look at this, Rachel. This ain't new. God healed a leprous man from Syria." For context, and if y'all know your history, they was at war during this time. The Syrians was at war with the Israelites during this time, and Jesus healed them. You know why? Because it ain't about nation. It's about religion. It's about belief in God. This man was ripe for the picking. This man had everything except the only thing he lacked was an encounter with God. He had the faith. He was a righteous, upright man. The only thing he was missing was his encounter with God. And when put to the test, he realized he had to relinquish something in order to fully submit to God. And when put to the test, he relinquished that thing. And so, in essence, he was able to meet with God.
Mercy.
But now we have Gehazi, a vast contrast between the two. We have an Israelite, a person that is the servant to the prophet. So you are more aware of God's miraculous powers. You are more aware than anyone else. You have had secondhand account you have witnessed people's miracles. You witness when potentially the dead in the park. Yeah, man, you witness all of them. You witness all of them. You might have. Anyway, you witnessed every single one of them. However, you didn't have a relationship with God. Naaman was cured of his leprosy, but he left with a renewed heart. On the other hand, Gehazi allowed his selfish ambition and greed to get the best of him, which pronounced leprosy on him and his generations. But the Israelites have not seen the last of the Syrians. But for some of the Syrians, Elisha may be the last thing they see. Well, at least for now. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week.